Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathavitam Tam Sajivam Advaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Ancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyadya Deshatarine Karoti Vacharam Pangom Langayate Kirim Yat Kripa Tamam Vande Shri Guru Dinataram Paramananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanya.
Hare Krishna, we welcome you all for this Chaitanya Charitamrta session. So let's all chant together. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya,
Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So in the last session, we have discussed in detail about the pastimes of Sakshi Gopal. And today we are beginning yet another interesting, amazing chapter. We would be meeting some new people on our way. So today we are going to discuss about Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, who was again a very, very important and eternal associate of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, it was in his, he would arrange for the places for the devotees to stay. He would arrange for the place for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to stay in Jagannath Puri. In fact, he was the one who was serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri in whatever capacity it was required. We will be meeting that wonderful devotee today. So let us all begin today's session.
Naumitam Gaurachandram Yaha Kutarkakarkashashyadam Sārvabhaumam Sārvabhauma Bhakti Bhumanam Achara. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Gaurachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who converted the hard-hearted Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, the reservoir of all bad logic, into a great devotee. So here, Krishnadas Kaviraj, the compiler of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, is offering his respectful obeisances unto Lord Gaurachandra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by he's highlighting here who converted the hard-hearted Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya. So Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya was a great scholar, and but he was an impersonalist. He had Mayavadi inclinations, and therefore it is mentioned that he was hard-hearted and he was reservoir of all bad logic. So because the impersonalists, the Mayavadis, they tend to speculate a lot, try to understand God or the supreme power through their logic, through their speculative knowledge. So that was his situation when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met him, and by grace of the Lord, he turned him into a great devotee. So that is why the obeisances are being offered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandra, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So, like in all chapter, we begin Chaitanya Charitamrita by offering respects and obeisances to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. आवेश चलीला प्रभु जगन्नाथ मीरे जगन्नाथ देखी प्रेमा भाईला हस्तिरे.
In ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went from Attaranala to the temple of Jagannath. After seeing Lord Jagannath, he became very restless due to love of Godhead. So we remember that in the previous session we heard that how the devotees and along accompanying the Lord, they reached Attaranala, a place where there is a bridge which has 18 arches, and that is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquires about his sannyas danda. And that's where the Lord Nityananda tells him that, the danda broke, or you were in great ecstasy and trying to hold you, both of us fell on the danda, it broke. And where it is, I cannot find it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we saw there that he expressed his displeasure at that, and then he told the devotees, either you go ahead and have darshan of Lord Jagannath, I will not come, or otherwise I will go alone and I will have darshan of Lord Jagannath, but we will not go together. So when he asked, what do you want? When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the devotees, what do you want? So they all said, okay, Mahaprabhu, you go ahead, you go first, we'll come later. So that is what has happened here. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went from Attaranala to temple of Jagannath, and we cannot understand the kind of experience where Lord Chaitanya had upon seeing Jagannath. He started all the way from Bengal, continuously waiting for this moment to have darshan of Lord Jagannath, and finally it was coming to fruition. So he became very restless. Jagannath Chalila Dhana Mandire Padila Preme Avishtahana.
As we can see in the image here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is lying flat, and actually he is not paying dandavat. He has fallen unconscious. So it says that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went swiftly to embrace Lord Jagannath, but when he entered the temple, he was so overwhelmed with love of Godhead that he fainted on the floor. So he is Jagannath, and he develops so much of ecstasy, so much of feeling of love for the deities that he faints in that ecstasy. He's not able to maintain his external consciousness, his connect with the external world, and he goes in a state of trance. He actually faints there. Daive Sārvabhauma taha ke kari darshana
Parichamarite ho
kaila nivarana.
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya happened to see him. When the watchman threatened to beat the Lord, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya immediately forbade him. So when this happened, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in ecstasy fell down, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya was there. He noticed that, and then the watchman. So there are certain set of devotees who are within the Jagannath temple, and they are supposed to maintain the conduct of the pilgrims. So this watchman probably got very agitated. What is this? And he was thinking that he should beat this personality. But Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya came in between and he forbade this watchman.
Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya was very surprised to see the personal beauty of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as the transcendental transformations wrought on his body due to love of Godhead. So what intrigued Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya was to see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually demonstrating the transcendental transformations. He was a very learned person. He had learned Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya. He has read all these scriptures. So he has read these things in the scripture, that how when a devotee feels so much of separation or feels some transcendental emotions, then he exhibits certain type of external qualities which can be understood as the symptom of ecstasy. So, seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he could immediately understand that. Plus, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is extremely beautiful also. So, he was seeing his personal beauty, he was simultaneously seeing the transcendental transformation, and he was very, very surprised. So, in that surprised state of mind, he actually stops all the guards who had come there to probably beat or do whatever to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he could understand that this is not an ordinary person, and this what is happening is not an ordinary phenomena. Bahukshane Chaitanya Rage Bhogi Rana Haila Sārvabhauma Mane Tabe Upaya Chintila.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained unconscious for a long time. Bahukshane. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained unconscious. He was not reviving. Meanwhile, the time for offering prasadam to Lord Jagannath came. Bhogera Kala Haila. So the time arrived when Lord Jagannath would be offered bhoga, and the Bhaṭṭācārya tried to think of a remedy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was lying there on the floor. Bhoga time had come. So Bhoga time, there is those of you who have visited, those of us who have visited Jagannath temple, we understand that there's a very, very huge kitchen, and from that kitchen there is a corridor which directly comes to a part of the temple which is called Bhog Mandap, and all the bhoga is brought by the sevayats there, and the bhoga is stacked in that room, and from that Bhog Mandap the bhoga is offered to Lord Jagannath. So that time was arriving, and Lord Chaitanya was lying there on the floor. So Bhaṭṭācārya had to come up with some solution to this. Shapadicha dvara prabhu nila vahana ghare ani pavet sthane rakhila soyana.
While Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was unconscious, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, with the help of the watchman and some disciples, carried him to his home and laid him down in a very sanctified. So Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya could understand that this is a very highly elevated devotee, and what is he exhibiting is extraordinary. So he could not leave him there lying in Jagannath temple. So when such a time arrived, so he actually took help of some of his disciples and watchmen and respectfully brought him to his home, and he gave him a very nice room. As it is mentioned here, very sanctified room. Pavitra sthane rakhila shoyana. So let him lie down in a very sanctified room.
Dekhiya chintita haila Bhaṭṭācārya mana. So when the Lord was laid down in this pavitra room, this sanctified room, so that's the time when Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya began to closely observe the form of Lord Chaitanya. Examining the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sārvabhauma saw that his abdomen was not moving and that he was not breathing. Seeing this condition, the Bhaṭṭācārya became very anxious. So when somebody is just lying there, it is a very naturally we would like to know whether the person is alive or not. So usually we'll see the symptoms or the signs of breathing. So the abdomen will go up and down, and then we know that the person is breathing. Like we see a child, or anybody sleeping, we see that the movement of abdomen is there. So the abdomen was not moving, and from the nose it was not becoming apparent that there is a breath, and then Bhaṭṭācārya became very anxious. Sushmatola ani nasa grite dharila ishata chalaya tula dekhiya haila.
The Bhaṭṭācārya then took a fine cotton swab and put it before the Lord's nostrils. When he saw the cotton move very slightly, he became
Haribo.
Hari Hairya Hoila. He was relieved. He was like, okay, so this person is at least alive. So he got that hope. Let's see what happens next.
Asi Bhaṭṭācārya mane karina vichara, He Krishna Mahapreme Ratrika Vikara. Sitting beside Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya thought, this is a transcendental, ecstatic transformation brought about by love of Krishna. So Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, as we mentioned earlier, that he was the foremost scholar there in Jagannath Puri, and he had great amount of knowledge of the Vedas. In fact, he was a teacher of Vedanta, so he was very highly respected. And here he was sitting next to this personality, very beautiful, and he could see that these are actually these symptoms of one experiencing Krishna Mahaprem Satvika Vikar. So these transformations are brought about by great love for Supreme Lord Krishna. Sudita Satvika Naam He Pralaya Nitya Siddha Bhakti Se Sudipta Bhavahaya.
The sign of Sudipta Satvik, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya could immediately understand the transcendental ecstatic transformation in the body of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Such a sign takes place only in the bodies of eternally liberated devotees. So actually now if we read the purport to this verse number 12, so Srila Prabhupada there he describes in detail as how there are different type of manifestation in the body of a devotee, which indicates, it's like the symptom, so that indicates the eligibility or the qualification or how highly qualified that person is. So here it is specifically mentioned about Sudipta Satvik, which means it is very very actively showing the this particular bhav. And Srila Prabhupada had described there are various stages of love for Krishna, like love of Godhead. So that also there are different categories. So here, as we see, the last line says that such a sign take place only in the bodies of eternally liberated devotees. So eternally liberated devotees, like those who are constantly there with the Supreme Lord in all his various pastimes in the spiritual world. So, like if we read Srimad Bhagavatam, so there is a description when Srimati Radharani, she is sitting with Krishna, and there is some description, and she feels that Krishna has gone. Krishna is sitting right next to Srimati Radharani, and yet she starts feeling, she hears her words and her heart gets so agitated at the thought that Krishna has left me and gone, that she starts crying, she starts weeping, and Krishna has to give her the assurance, look, I am sitting right here. But then she was in so much of transcendental ecstasy, she was experiencing this Mahabhav. So what is mentioned here, Sudipta Satvika. So such manifestation happens in devotees like that. So here Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya could see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually showing such symptoms. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the presence of Jagannath, and he felt such ecstasy that he fainted. Right? So he could understand, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya could understand that this is very, very rare symptom what he is witnessing now in the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was actually, the whole point is that he was getting so attracted and so impressed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
And these symptoms should not be faked by ordinary people, because there is a problem when when people read such things and then they try to imitate.
Yeah, I think this time I go to the temple, I'll faint. I just
yeah. So people try to imitate. So these. So that purport is very, very, very significant. Sukit is talking about. We read Prabhupada mentions that how these great devotees, they first try to hide these symptoms, and they do not want to display them. But there's a time when all the emotions, they come at one time and they're uncontrollable, and that's how it gets manifest externally.
I mean, even then they don't want to show it. It just that they lose their control.
In any case, this is for Nitya Siddha Bhakti. So, not really we are eligible for this. Adhirudha bhava yandra tandra evikara manushera dehe dekhi bada chamatkara. Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya considered the uncommon ecstatic symptoms of Adhirudha Bhav are appearing in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is very wonderful. How are they possible in the body of a human being? So fortunately, this Mahaprabhu was there, and such a learned person came that just by observing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he could understand what is happening.
Understanding is not ordinary.
Yeah, an ordinary person cannot make out what is happening, but he could understand, and he was thinking that these are uncommon. These are uncommon symptoms of Adhirudha Bhav, and how is it possible that in a human being these are coming? This is for the Nitya Siddha devotees. So this is the question that has arisen in his mind. Eta Chinti Bhaṭṭācārya Chinavasiya Nityananda Adi Simha Dware Vivilasiya.
While the Bhaṭṭācārya was thinking in this way at his home, all the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, headed by Nityananda Prabhu, approached the Simhadwar. So now we have read the Simhadwar mentioned, it has come in the previous chapters, and we will read that many times the Simhadwar description comes. So Jagannath temple has 4 entrances in the 4 direction. And the main entrance, the most common one, is known as Simhadwar. So here I have picked up a very old photo of Simhadwar. So actually the devotees arrived to Jagannath Puri. So we remember that Mukunda, Nityananda, they were all coming, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come before them and they were following him. So now they have reached there at Simhadwar. So they have not yet entered the temple. They've just reached Simhadwar.
In Simhadwar, we can see that it is in the eastern direction. So from here directly in the behind the Simhadwar, we can see the Jagannath temple main Gopura. And there are 2 large simhas at the entrance of this, which are not very clearly visible. If you visit Jagannath temple, the main entrance, most devotees enter from here, and you can see on either side there are huge simhas are there, lions.
Nashone loke kahe anyone baat
Eka sannyasi asi dekhi Jagannatha. There the devotees heard the people talking about a mendicant who had come to Jagannath Puri and seen the deity of Jagannath. So what had happened is, when these devotees, along with Lord Nityananda, they arrived there, so they heard, oh, people are talking about some sannyasi. That sannyasi came to Jagannath Puri and he went in to have darshan of Jagannath. Uchitaila Chaitanya Sharire Sārvabhauma
The people said that the sannyasi had fallen unconscious upon seeing the deity of Lord Jagannath. Because his consciousness did not return, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya had taken him to his home. So this incident was so unique that it had become the talk of the town. So people were talking about it, discussing that, oh, such a sannyasi came, he had darshan and he fainted there. So they were talking amongst themselves. What happened after that? So somebody else told, oh, Sārvabhauma has taken to his home. So Nityananda and others were actually hearing this conversation. Shuni sabejaniya Mahaprabhu karya
Hearing this, the devotees could understand that they were speaking of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So, of course, these devotees were traveling with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They knew Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this was not the first time. So they knew, oh, this sannyasi, we know who this sannyasi is. He is our Lord. Just then, Sri Gopinath Acharya arrived.
Now this is a new character.
So Gopinath Acharya is the brother-in-law of Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya.
Nadiya nivasi vishade raja
Mahaprabhu Bhakta Deho Prabhu Tattva Gyata.
Gopinath Acharya was a resident of Nadia, the son-in-law of Visharad and a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He knew the true identity of his lordship. So this particular person, Visharad, he actually had two sons, and one of the sons is Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya. And Visharad is, as it says here, he is the son-in-law of, Gopinath Acharya is the son-in-law of Visharad. So by that relationship, Gopinath Acharya and Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya are brother-in-law. And because Gopinath Acharya is from Nadia, Bengal, so he was aware of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is he and what are his glories.
Yeah, and he was a great devotee of the Lord. And he knew his true identity. Prabhu Tattva Gyata. So we see two personalities who are brother-in-laws, but one brother-in-law knows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Supreme Lord, and the other one is going to be blessed by Lord Chaitanya.
Kunda sahite purve raj parichaya
Mukunda dekhiya tara aina vismaya. Gopinath Acharya had previously been acquainted with Mukunda Datta, and when the Acharya saw him at Jagannath Puri, he was very much astonished. So Gopinath Acharya just now saw Mukunda Datta, and he knew Mukunda Datta from previous time, and when he saw him at Jagannath Puri, he was astonished. Wow! So Vismaya. Mukunda tahare dekhi kaila namaskara. Eho alingiya puche Prabhu Rasmachara.
Datta offered obeisances unto Gopinath Acharya upon meeting him. Then the Acharya embraced Mukunda Datta and inquired about news of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now they exchange the pleasantries and they are asking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So this also shows the Vaishnava Achar. When the two Vaishnavas see each other, what they do is they offer each other respectful obeisances. So we offer our obeisance not just to the Lord but also to the devotees in the Kunkahe Prabhu Haila Mane Ami Savasi Achi Mahaprabhu Sane. Mukundanta replied, the Lord has already arrived here. We have come with him. Nityananda Gosai ke achar kaila namaskara. Sabe meri puche Prabhu varta bara bara.
As soon as Gopinath Acharya saw Nityananda Prabhu, he offered his obeisances unto him. In this way, meeting all the devotees, he asked about news of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again and again. So Gopinath Acharya not only knew Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also knew Nityananda Prabhu and his glories, so he paid obeisances, and then they were again discussing about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Gopinath Acharya started asking where is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he met devotees, he met Nityananda Prabhu, so where is Lord Chaitanya? Prabhu Sanyasa Kariya Nila Chale Aila Sange Yama Sabalana. Mukundatta continued, after accepting the sannyas order, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to Jagannath Puri and has brought all of us with him. So Mukundatta is informing Gopinath Acharya that Nimai Pandit has accepted sannyas. He is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now. He has travelled all the way to Jagannath Puri and we are all come along with him. He has brought all of us. Sārvabhauma gela darshane Ami sava pache aila taranveshane.
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left our company and walked ahead to see Lord Jagannath. We have just arrived and are now looking for him. So they inform that they are searching for Mahaprabhu. Anya lokir mukhe ye
Katashu lila Sārvabhauma grahe Prabhu Anuman kaina. From the talk of the people in general, we have guessed that the Lord is now at the house of Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya. So here Mukunda is informing Gopinath Acharya that it seems that Lord has been taken to the house of Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya. ईश्वर दर्शने प्रभु प्रेमे अचेतना सर्वभौम लाना गेला अपना भवना.
Jagannath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became ecstatic and fell unconscious. And Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya has taken him to his home in this condition. So they just informed because Gopinath Acharya was asking. Tomara milane yape amar haila mona Kaide se kshane pailu tomara darshana.
Just as I was thinking of meeting you, by chance we have actually met. Jalasamyai Sārvabhaumena bhavana Prabhu pache kari Vaishvara darshana.
Now, this is another amazing thing that the devotees, they are hearing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come. He had darshan of Jagannath and he felt unconscious. So they could understand that how much ecstasy just by having darshan of Jagannath is bringing. They are standing where? At the Simhadwar, at the entrance of Jagannath temple. But what they are deciding, what they are saying here, first, let us all go to the house of Sārvabhauma and see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Later we shall come to see Lord Jagannath. So they are, none of them is thinking that let me have darshan of Jagannath and then I'll go to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is how actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so very important, especially for all of us, because he has come in this Kali Yuga just to deliver us, just to give us that process which can very easily and very quickly deliver us to the spiritual world or connect us to Krishna. So that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is our Ishtadev. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the one who is showing who is Jagannath and who is Krishna. So that is how important Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is for all of us. Eta shuni gopinatha samare lana Sārvabhauma kare gela harshitahana.
Hearing this and feeling very pleased. So all this was being being spoken by Mukunda. Gopinath Acharya was listening. Mukunda was saying that, I was just thinking of you. I just met you here, and better let's go and meet the Lord Chaitanya first. Then we'll come back and have darshan of Jagannath. So hearing all this, Gopinath Acharya was very pleased. He immediately took all the devotees with him and approached the house of Sārvabhauma. Sārvabhauma sthane kiya Prabhu ke dekhila Prabhu dekhi acharyera dukha harshahaila.
Arriving at the home of Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, everyone saw the Lord lying unconscious. Seeing him in this condition, Gopinath Acharya became very unhappy, but at the same time, he was happy just to see the Lord. So whose heart would not pain if you see that your loved one is lying unconscious there? So Gopinath Acharya was like disturbed at this sight, and yet simultaneously after many days he was actually having darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was simultaneously very happy, he was joyed to see him, but he was not very happy about the condition. Sārvabhauma janana
sapa lila Nityananda Gosai
namaskare.
Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya permitted all the devotees to enter his house. So, Gopinath Acharya, Mukunda, Nityanand Prabhu, and all the devotees now entered Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's house. And upon seeing Nityanand Prabhu, the Bhaṭṭācārya offered him obeisances. Sabasahitya yoga
korila milana
Prabhu dekhi sabaraila harashitamana.
Sārvabhauma met with all the devotees and offered them a proper welcome. They were all pleased to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was still unconscious, but they were happy to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there and he was in a proper room comfortably. He was lying down there. And it is mentioned that Sabha Sahita Yatha Yogya Korila Milana. So depending on the seniority, etc., we welcome the other person to our home. So here Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya is teaching us Vaishnava etiquette. So the moment he saw Nityananda Prabhu, he paid obeisances, and others also accordingly he welcomed. So he welcomed everybody and everyone met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya sab darshan karike Chandaneshwar nijya putra lila sab sathe. The Bhaṭṭācārya then sent them all back to see Lord Jagannath, and he asked his own son Chandaneshwar to accompany them as a guide. So here, Bhattacharya saw that all these devotees had traveled from so far. So he sent them that please go and have darshan of Lord Jagannath. Now you have had darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are eager to see him. Now go and have
And you know that he's okay.
That he's okay. And so he sent his own son to accompany and guide them.
Jagannath dekhi sabar haila ananda
Avite avishta haila Prabhu Nityananda.
Everyone was then very pleased to see the deity of Lord Jagannath. Lord Nityananda in particular was overwhelmed with ecstasy. When now Nityananda is having darshan of Jagannath, and it is mentioned that he was also completely overcome by ecstasy. Sabe mili dhari tanre suspira karila
Ishvara sevaka mala prasadani dila. When Lord Nityananda Prabhu nearly fainted, all the devotees caught him and steadied him. At that time, the priest of Lord Jagannath brought a garland that had been offered to the deity and offered it to Nityananda Prabhu. So that is how the Nityananda Prabhu was in great ecstasy, and he almost fainted, on having darshan of the majestic deities of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, and the devotees held him, and the Lord reciprocated. That the Lord's priest, he reciprocated, brought a garland that had the Mahaprasad garland of Jagannath and offered it to Nityananda.
Mr. Vadi, can we have that noise cancellation to the low mode? It is chopping the voice actually.
Sorry?
This is settings.
Your voice is not clear. Call me.
Prasad pana sabe haila anandita
mane punarabi aila sabe Mahaprabhu sthane. Everyone was pleased to receive his garland worn by Lord Jagannath. Afterwards, they all returned to the place where Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying. So all the devotees became ecstatic. This is Mahaprasad garland of Lord Jagannath. Hari Bol. And after that, they returned back to Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's house where Lord Chaitanya was staying.
I hope the audio is clear. I hope we are audible. Just a minute. Uchakari kare sabe nam
Sankirtana Tritiya Prahare Haila Prabhu Rachitana. All
of the devotees then began to loudly chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Just before noon, the Lord regained his consciousness. Hare Hare, Hare Bol.
Pukara kariya upe
Hari Hari Bali
Anande Sārvabhauma Tanra Laila Paraduli. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got up and very loudly chanted Hari Hari. Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya was very pleased to see the Lord regain consciousness. Hari Bol. He was very anxious. We saw in the beginning, very anxious. He's trying to check whether this personality is even breathing or not. And then he took the dust of the Lord's lotus feet.
Sārvabhauma
kahe shigra karaha madhyana muni vikshati mo aji mahaprasadana.
The Bhaṭṭācārya informed all of them, please take your midday baths immediately. Today I shall offer you Mahaprasadam, the remnants of food offered to Lord Jagannath. So actually, technically speaking, it is expected that devotees take bath thrice. So that is how Bhaṭṭācārya is telling that please take your midday bath immediately. Especially this is for sannyasis, that they are expected to take bath thrice, and the grihasthas should take bath twice.
So great opportunity. Sārvabhauma is going to offer them Jagannath Prasadam feast. Will be there. So please take bath and come.
Samudra स्नान करी महाप्रभु शीघ्र आइला.
Charana Bhakali Prabhu Asane Vasila. After bathing in the sea, now we need to understand, Srila Prabhupada mentions one of the purports that on the southern side of Jagannath temple was the Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's house. It was very close to the beach. In fact, he mentions it was on the beach. So devotees went, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and other Mukunda and other devotees went. They took bath in the Jagannath Puri beach in the sea, and they very soon returned. The Lord then washed his feet and sat down on a carpet to take lunch.
बहुत
प्रसाद सर्वभौमा लila, तवे महाप्रभु सुखे भोजन करिला.
Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya made arrangements to bring various kinds of Mahaprasadam from the Jagannath temple. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then accepted lunch with great happiness. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was having this Jagannath Prasad for the first time, and he was very happy, with great happiness. He was sitting with his associates for honoring Prasadam.
And this is beauty of Krishna consciousness. Have darshan of the deities and feel ecstatic. Do kirtan, feel ecstatic, and then take prasadam and feel ecstatic. Suvarna thalira anna uttama vijana bhaktagana sange prabhu karena bhojana. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was offered special rice and first class vegetables on a golden plate. On golden plates, Suvarna thalira anna uttama vyanjana. He thus took lunch in the company of his devotees. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seated, he was offered special rice, first class vegetables on golden plate, and he, in association with devotees, he took prasad. Sārvabhauma pariveshan karena pane Prabhu kahe mora deha lapara vyanjane.
While Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya personally distributed the prasadam, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu requested him, please give me only boiled vegetables. So this laphara vyanjane, so that is a specific preparation where the vegetables are boiled. So basically boiled vegetables. So Mahaprabhu, because he was a sannyasi and he was trying to abide by all these rules and regulations of sannyas ashram, so he would not, like, he would from his side not try to indulge in
Luxurious.
luxurious prasadam. So here he is making a request, give me just some boiled vegetable. Though he is very happy to see the prasadam and he is happy that others would get such nice prasadam, but for him he is telling, just give me some boiled vegetables.
So these boiled vegetables, Prabhupada explains in the purport that the vegetables are boiled and then they will put a chaunce in it, chonka. They'll put a chaunce with some spices, cumin, other things Prabhupada mentioned.
Pithapana deha tomi
Sāvabhauma tave Bhaṭṭācārya kahe yuridui kare. You can offer the cakes and preparations made with condensed milk to all the devotees. Hearing this, the Bhaṭṭācārya folded his hands and spoke as follows.
Jagannath kaiche kari yachena bhojana
Aji Sārvabhauma prasad kara swadhana.
So Sārvabhauma requested, today all of you please try to taste the lunch just as Lord Jagannath accepted it. So don't say that give me this and don't give me that. Whatever quantity and whatever quality, whatever food variety Jagannath accepted, please accept it as it is. Eta boli pitha pana
sab khao
Ikakara rana acha
man karahila. After saying this, he made them all eat the various cakes and condensed milk preparations. After feeding them, he offered them water to wash their hands, feet, and so Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's request was accepted by Lord Chaitanya and the other devotees, and all the devotees ate various cakes and condensed milk preparations. And we see that after the prasadam was over, the devotees were offered water to wash their hands, feet, and mouth. Not just some tissue paper, wipe it and keep it, and it's done.
And actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has reached Jagannath Puri now, and we will see in various other pastimes. See, Jagannath is Bhojan Priya. He is very fond of eating. Jagannath is satisfied just by offering nice prasadam. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now staying in that land. He has reached the land of Jagannath Puri. So very often we would see that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be invited here and there for prasadam and Jagannath prasadam, and Mahaprabhu would like almost always, he tries to not eat, but then just for the pleasure of devotees, he accepts whatever is offered to him. आज्ञा मागी केला गोपी
नाथाचार्य begging permission from Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya then went with Gopinathacharya to take lunch. After finishing their lunch, they returned to Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the etiquette of the host. Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya was the host, Gopinathacharya was also the host. So first they served the Lord and his devotees, the guests, visiting guests, and the visiting devotees, and then at the end they took the prasadam. Namo Narayana Bali Namaskara Kaila Krishna Mate Rastu Bali Gosai Kahila.
Offering his obeisances to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya said, Namo Narayanaya, which means I offer my obeisances to Narayan. So now this is a very specific address which the Mayavadi sannyasis do, Namo Narayanaya, because they see everybody is Narayan. So they offer this way that I offer my obeisances to Narayan. In return, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what did he reply? Krishna Materastu. Let your attention be on Krishna. So Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya was coming from a particular background and he has not yet become a devotee. Though he is very respectful to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he could see such transcendental manifestation in his body. Also, he was respecting his ashram because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi and Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya was not. He was a grihastha. So sannyas ashram is much higher compared to the grihastha ashram. So he was offering all respects to him, but yet he was not a devotee. We will see how he becomes.
And we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wished him Krishna and Mathir Astu. So as sannyasi, Prabhupada mentions a Vaishnava sannyasi. This is how a Vaishnava sannyasi blesses the people. Suni Sārvabhauma mane vichara karila Vaishnava sannyasi ho vachane janila. Hearing these words, Krishna and Mathir Astu, hearing these words, Sārvabhauma understood Lord Chaitanya to be a Vaishnava sannyasi. So he knew that he is not a Mayavadi, he is a Vaishnava sannyasi.
Vaishnava sannyasi
would dress like this, and Mayavadi sannyasi will offer each other, they consider each other as Narayan, and that's how they consider these sannyasis will consider each other as God. They say Namo Narayan.
Vaishnava sannyasi is one who knows Vishnu is supreme or Krishna is supreme and I am his servant.
Gopinathacharya kahe Sārvabhauma Gosai re jani te chai kaha purva shushama.
So now he is inquiring, Sārvabhauma is inquiring from his brother-in-law Gopinathacharya about the Purva ashram. So ashram is the brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. So the previous condition of life, previous situation. So he is inquiring, I want to know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's previous situation. Gopinathacharya
kahe Navadvipe Ghara Jagannath Nama Padvi Mishra Purandara. Gopinath Acharya replied, there was a man named Jagannath who was a resident of Navadvip and whose surname was Mishra Purandara. So here Gopinath Acharya is mentioning about Lord Chaitanya's father. विश्वंभर नाम तांडही हूँ पुत्र नीलंबर चक्र तीरा न दौहित्र.
Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the son of that Jagannath Mishra, and his former name was Vishwambhar Mishra. So before he took sannyas, his official formal name was Vishwambhar Mishra. He also happens to be the grandson of Nilambar Chakravarti. So Nilambar Chakravarti again was a very stalwart and famous devotee, and he was a very good astrologer also. And he happens to be the father of Shachi Devi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Nana or grandfather. So he is giving that reference also because such personalities those days especially, they would be famous all over. People would know each other without any Facebook or social media, yet there were connections. So that is how he is mentioning the important people of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life. He's telling about his father and that grandfather who is very well known. Sārvabhauma
नीलांबर चक्रवर्ती विशारदेर समाधियाई एतान रख्याति. The Bhaṭṭācārya said, Nilambar Chakravarti was a classmate of my father, Maheshwar Narad Visharad. I knew him as such.
Vishwapurandara Tandra Manyane na jani Pitara Sambandhe
Doha ke Pujya Kari Mani.
Jagannath Mishra Purandar was respected by my father. Thus, because of their relationship with my father, I respect both Jagannath Mishra and Nilambar Chakravarti. So see the connection. So he just mentioned Gopinath Acharya mentions two names. Now these two personalities are from Bengal. They were in a completely different state. They were in Odisha, and Odisha, Bengal, I mean, though people would come and go, but it was not like you have a direct flight and you reach in 1 hour. So there was differences, and yet they would know such people.
Anyway, the family knew each other.
Nadiya Sambandhe Sārvabhauma
Pritahana Gosai. Hearing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu belonged to the Nadia district, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya became very pleased and addressed the Lord as follows.
Sahaje Pujyato Miriyarate Sannyasa Ateva Anaho Mara Vinijadasa. You are naturally respectable. Besides, you are a sannyasi. Thus, I wish to become your personal servant. So see how Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, though he was much older to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and though he was a very scholarly person, yet he was humble enough to immediately say that you are respectable because he got to know about his father and grandfather. And since he was a sannyasi also, so he offered to become his personal servant. This is the first meeting, and he is saying that I am eager to be your personal servant. Shuni Mahaprabhu Kaila Shri Vishnu Smarana Bhaṭṭācārya.
As soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this from the Bhaṭṭācārya, he immediately remembered Lord Vishnu and began to speak humbly to him as follows. So Bhaṭṭācārya was offering respects to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ashram that you are a sannyasi, you are from Nadia, and I know your father and your grandfather. So he said, because of your ashram, I am your servant. And what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did? He immediately remembered Lord Vishnu and began to speak very humbly. Tumi jagat guru sarva loka hita karta vedanta padhao sannyasi upakarta.
Because you are a teacher of Vedanta philosophy, you are the master of all the people in the world and their well-wisher as well. You are also the benefactor of all kinds of sannyasis. So Mahaprabhu is saying that you are offering me respect because I am a sannyasi, but you are the one who's teaching Vedanta. So you are worshipable, you are respectable, you are in fact helping the sannyasis also because you are propounding the Vedanta philosophy.
And that is one reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uses the word Jagat Guru. So we see that these days also, so many people, they will put this in front of them, Jagat Guru, so and so. So many people claim this title of being Jagat Guru or master of all the people in the world. But here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining, because you teach Vedanta, and you are benefactor of sannyasis, that is the reason you are Jagat Guru. Ami balak sannyasi bhanda vandana hi jani, Tomara Shreya Nilu Guru Garimani. I am a young sannyasi and I actually have no knowledge of what is good and what is bad. Therefore, I am taking shelter of you and accepting you as my spiritual master. So, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, very, very young. When usually a person would be in Grihastha ashram, he was actually a sannyasi. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
24.
yeah, 24 plus. So that's what. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. So he's actually humbly offering himself in front of this. Let's remember that Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya was a very, very famous scholar. So he has submitted himself in front of him, and of course, this is Lord's ploy, or this is Lord's plan to convert Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya into a devotee. So for right now, he's saying, I'm very, I have no knowledge of what is good and what is bad, and I'm taking your shelter, and please accept me. I'm accepting you as my spiritual master. Please accept me as your disciple. I want to take shelter of you. So he's paving the way to, inspire Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya to teach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Vedanta. Masangalagi mora agamana sarva prakare karibe amaya palana.
I have come here only to associate with you, and I am now taking shelter of you. Will you kindly maintain me in all respects? So, with such humility, the Lord Himself is requesting Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya to accept him and to give him shelter, to protect him. He is telling that, will you take care of me in all respects? Will you maintain me completely? So, this is the request of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and what is Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's reply? We will see in the next session. Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So thank you all for joining today's session. Also coming up on this Sunday is Nrsimha Chaturdashi, the day when Lord Nrsimhadev appeared from that pillar just to protect Prahlad Maharaj. So keeping all the conditions of his devotee Lord Brahma and simultaneously Prahlad Maharaj from his demoniac father, Nrsimhadev takes this ferocious forms and he appears. So we request you all, those of you who are here in Chennai, kindly come to ISKCON Chennai Temple. Our program starts from 5 o'clock in the evening. There will be Abhishek, Kirtan, Aarti and Prasadam. So you all are invited. And class. And those of you who are not here in Chennai, we request you to go to your local ISKCON centers because it's an amazing festival. And on this day, when we go to the temple, we attract much more blessings of the Supreme Lord.
And today is the day, Sunday is the day when appearance of Lord Narasimha, to pray to the Lord, please remove the obstacles on my path of devotional life. So that is the specific prayer that we made, that Lord, I have so many obstacles, I am not able to move forward in my spiritual life. I am getting stuck, so please help me so that I become sincere and I become committed and I become consistent in my devotional service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare. And don't forget to write the learnings from today's session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare